Hi, Mr. Wright here, and in this film we're going to work through some exam questions on solving quadratic equations. Now you can download the questions by clicking the link in the description, and then you can have a go at the questions and then watch the film, or you can work on the questions as you watch the film and work alongside me. Up to you. Right, let's get on with the maths. Now, all of these questions we're going to tackle in the same way. When we solve a quadratic equation, we set the equation equal to 0, factorize, and then find our solutions. Now, very often, the exam questions split that up for you. So you can see here, in part 1, we're asked to factorize this expression, and in part 2, we're asked to solve the equation where that very same expression is already set equal to 0. So let's start off with part 1, and let's factorize y squared minus 2y minus 48. Now I know it's going to be y and y, and in this instance, my two numbers multiply to a negative. So I know that one must be a plus and one must be a minus. And now it's a question of running through my factors of 48 and finding a pair of numbers which will multiply to 48, well, all of these will multiply to 48, and also which will give me minus 2y. And in this case, I'm going to use the 6 and the 8. Now, which way round? If I write the 8 here and the 6 here, then were I to expand these brackets, I would get plus 8y minus 6y. So I'd end up with plus 2y, not minus 2y. So it's not going to be plus 8 and minus 6. Instead, it's going to be plus the 6 and minus the 8. So that is y squared minus 2y minus 48 factorized. Hence, i.e. use your previous answer, solve this equation. Well, the equation is y squared minus 2y minus 48 equals 0. Well, I've just factorized the left-hand side, and I know that that is y plus 6 multiplied by y minus 8 equals 0. So I know my two solutions are minus 6 and 8. And so those are the values of y, which will make the left-hand side equal 0. If you're not sure on some of the mechanics of this, you might like to watch the how-to film, How to Solve Quadratic Equations, which goes into more detail about why that method works. Question 2. Again, I'm being asked to factorize an expression, and then in the second part of the question, I'm being asked to solve the quadratic equation, which has that expression equal to 0. So let's start off with the factorizing. It's going to be x and x. These multiply to a negative, so they're going to have a plus and a minus. So I need numbers that multiply to that 9, which will give me the plus 8x, with one of them being positive and one of them being negative. The answer there is going to be 9 and minus 1. And so in part 2, when I'm asked to solve this equation, I'll start by factorizing the left-hand side. So I've got x plus 9 times x minus 1 equals 0. So my solutions are x equals minus 9 or 1. Question 3. Again, I'm asked to factorize and then solve a quadratic equation. X and x. Again, my two numbers are going to multiply to a negative, plus and minus. Now, gives me 36, such as 4 9s. In fact, 4 9s is a good one, isn't it? Because if I make that minus 9 and 4, then I'm going to end up with minus 5x's. So I'm going to have plus 4 and minus 9. So down here, when I solve this quadratic equation, I'm going to have x plus 4 times x minus 9 equals 0. So x equals minus 4 and 9. Number 4. Right, look at that, exactly the same process. Factorize here, x and x. Again, they multiply to a negative. So a plus and a minus. Now this time, they've got to multiply to give me that 24, or minus 24, and they have to add to give me the plus 5. I'm thinking 8 and 3, because those are two factors of 24 that have a difference of 5. And I'm thinking plus 8 and minus 3, because that would give me plus 5x if I were to expand the bracket. So there's that factorized. And now I can use that factorization to solve the equation x squared plus 5x minus 24 equals 0 to give me the answer x equals minus 8 and 3. Question 5. Again, I'm being asked to factorize. A lot of these questions are much the same. So I'm factorizing, so I'm going to have an x and an x. Multiply to a minus again, so plus and a minus. Minus 22. Well, that could be 2. Look, 2 and 11. And which one do I want to be positive and which one do I want to be negative? So I end up with plus 9x. Well, plus the 11 and minus the 2. And so in part 2, I'm going to have x plus 11 times x minus 2 equals 0. So what values of x will make the left-hand side equal 0? X equals minus 11 or x equals 2. Question 6. Factorize. Now this time I've got a y and a y. Again, we multiply to a negative, so plus and a minus. 18, 3 and 6, 2 and 9. It's going to be 3 and 6, isn't it? It's going to be plus the 3 and minus the 6, because that would give me minus 3y. So now I can use that factorization to solve this equation here. And my solutions are going to be y equals minus 3 or 6. Question 7 coming up. Right, so I've got to factorize this expression. Okay, y and y multiply to a minus, so a plus and a minus. You could do a minus and a plus. Now, two numbers that are going to give me that 35, and when one of them's plus and one of them's minus, I'm going to get minus 2. I'm thinking about 7 and 5, but I want minus 2y, so it'll be minus 7 and plus the 5. So now I can use that to help me solve this equation here. X plus 5, x minus 7 equals 0. Sorry, y plus 5 and y minus 7. So y equals minus 5 or 7. Let's look at question 8. Factorizing again and again, they multiply to a negative. So again, it's going to be x plus x minus, because they multiply to minus 36. 6 and 6? 4 and 9? Oh, 4 and 9. And if I do which one minus, which one plus, the minus 4 and the plus 9, so that I would end up with plus 5x. So now I can use that down here, factorize the left-hand side, and my answers are x equals minus 9 or 4. Number 9 coming up. Number 9, right, factorize these, right, x and x multiplied to a minus again. So that's a plus and a minus. Now, 24 could be 6 and 4, couldn't it? Could be 8 and 3, could be 12 and 2. Which one's going to give me plus 5x? Wait a minute. Plus 8 minus 3 would give me plus 5, wouldn't it? There we go. So I can use that. X plus 8, x minus 3 equals 0. So x would be minus 8 or 3. Okay, number 10. Factorize again. Right, x and x multiply to a minus 24. Plus and a minus. 24. 2 and 12? 6 and 4. 4 and 6, there you go. But I want to have plus 2x, don't I? So I'll have plus the 6 and minus the 4. Because that's going to give me plus 2x if I multiply it out. So that's going to be x plus 6, lots of x minus 4 equals 0. So x is going to be minus 6 or 4. And so that's it. Well done. That is 10 exam questions, all involving factorising a quadratic and then using that factorisation to solve the quadratic equation. So I hope you found that useful. Hit like, ask me a question in the comments, and continue your journey with me as you strive for your grade 5 or grade 4 in your IGCSE maths. Thanks for watching. See you in the next